Welcome to this panel on harnessing data for infrastructure resilience. I've got an amazing panel today and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So I've got Alana Gluck, who's from Connected Places Catapult, Carolina Tortura from NISO, I've got Helen Huema Marquides from the Greater London Authority, and Rodrigo Fernandez from Bentley Systems. And I'm actually going to ask them to introduce themselves shortly. But first, I just wanted to say some words to just give some context for this, because there's a lot of focus on climate mitigation, and partly that's because obviously there's legislation on net zero, but resilience and also things like circular economy, it feels like they get less consideration. But that's strange because it seems clear that we're not going to hit the target of staying below 1.5, and obviously already in 2024 we went up to 1.6 degrees, and it's looking increasingly unlikely that we'll even stay below 2 degrees at this stage, and we've actually already exceeded 6 out of the 9 planetary boundaries, and so therefore it means that whatever action that we do take for net zero, which is still incredibly important, we also need to be preparing for the effects of hotter temperatures, including the frequency of droughts and flooding. And this last few weeks, actually, just with events at Heathrow recently and in the UK, recently in the UK and in Spain and Portugal with the energy system just this week, it's really shown just how important our resilience is. So today we want to talk about how we can prepare our infrastructure to be more resilient, and what organisations are actually already doing about it. And data and digital are going to be absolutely critical enablers to that. But I just want to take a moment to just remind the panel that just about technical language. So if we're going to try not to use too technical language, but if you do refer to something, if you can just explain it when you use it. And we're particularly going to hear about digital twins, connected digital twins, and data sharing infrastructure. So I did just want to give a quick explanation of the definition that we're going to be using for that. So if I start with digital twins, that is a digital representation of a physical asset, process or system. So it doesn't just have to be an asset, and it's distinguished from any other kind of digital model because of that dynamic connection to the physical twin. So you've got the data that's provided from the physical asset in a timely manner, which could even be in real time, and that means then that better decisions can be made and therefore better interventions back on the physical asset, and it's kind of that positive feedback loop that makes it into a digital twin. And then connected digital twins, and that's where the various digital twins can talk to each other, and this can be between twins within one asset, it could be within one company, or it could be across sectors. And we're actually going to hear about all different types of digital twins on the panel today, and they don't need to be connected all the time. So they just connect in order to make a better intervention, in a timely manner. And then in order for those digital twins to connect, we need this data sharing infrastructure. And that's the infrastructure that sits beneath the twins. And data sharing infrastructure creates that underlying interoperability between systems, and it enables the connection and the flow of data between assets in a secure and interoperable manner. So I just wanted to give you an example at the highest level of what that might mean, because I think that we need to stop looking at nature as a source of materials, and we need to start to see that it's actually a source of services. And actually, because we haven't been acknowledging that, that's why we're in a lot of our problems. Equally, in the UK, we've already built 99.5% of our infrastructure, and therefore we can actually look at our existing built environment as a source of materials. Now, in order to be able to do that, we need to know what materials make up our built environments and what condition they're in. And then we need to know who needs those materials and by when. And we might need to store the materials if they're not needed immediately. And then we need to be able to match them to the people that need them. And we also need to move them in the least carbon intensive way to where they're needed. So you can see that to be able to do that, we need to have connected digital twins with that data sharing infrastructure sitting underneath it, that will be absolutely critical to transitioning to a circular economy. And equally, it's critical that we transition to a circular economy for the survival of the planet. And we're actually going to hear about digital twins that are being used for things like improving proactive maintenance, which kind of leads me on to Rodrigo. But I just wanted, just before we start, just to remind what you said about how using Slido. So please, if you've got questions while we're talking, then please do submit your questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Rodrigo, then. So please do introduce yourself first, and then if you just give us your thoughts on the role of data and digital twins in improving infrastructure resilience and climate adaptation efforts.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so first of all, I'm from Bentley Systems, not the car company, right? So we don't develop cars, but we do provide software for designing roads and highways where cars can go. So any kind of any type of infrastructure, rail, water utilities, so water pipelines, electric grids, offshore wind plants, they can be designed, constructed, and maintained with the software that we developed. I'm director of sustainability. It's a global role that I have in the company. I'm an environmental engineer with master's and PhD in environmental engineering, so it's this is a very, very important topic indeed. So I think I just took my flight from Lisbon Monday. I think it was Monday. I'm kind of lost, but it was Monday, 11:30. And 5 minutes after that, it was a blackout, in total blackout in Portugal and Spain. I arrived London. I was not aware of anything, right? I just started hearing some people from the flight saying something was not right with power supply in Portugal and Spain, and then my cell phone stopped working, because basically it could not link to any of the communication providers in the UK, because in Portugal they also they connected the contingency planning and they disconnected all cell phones from there. So I saw the discussion. The discussion was, okay, there was an overload of solar power apparently in Spain that created some high tension overload, and then for security reasons, Portugal automatically disconnected and shut down all the systems there. And then the big discussion around this, right, was what could have been done, what could not have been done. One, first of all, digital twins can and should be used for existing infrastructure, for making scenario planning, scenario analysis, to load balancing, or especially when you have more and more energy coming to your network. You need to be able to simulate and to find out what can be and what will happen in what-if scenarios, right? To make this kind of simulations, this is really critical. It's a critical part of digital twins. Not just for electric grids. It can be used for water, any kind of water-related issues like floods, as you mentioned, water supply. If you're facing droughts, or if you're prone to droughts in a water-scarce, water-stress areas, you must optimize your water supply in a way that you try to minimize, those peaks of droughts, but also on floods, the same situation, or water pipe leakage situations like pipe bursts. So you can use digital twins for early warning to predict situations like that, or even detect anomalies in your network, so that you can, like using AI, you can anticipate any problem or detect leakages, so that you control your non-revenue water issues, and then you optimize the system, right? So there are so many things that can be done. So I remember at COP29, I met someone from ITER project, which is a massive project for fusion energy production that I don't know when will be available, maybe in 20 years or so. But basically, it's the biggest infrastructure project you can imagine in the world, involving, I don't know, 35 countries, I'm not sure. Basically, they assembled, they have so many pieces, and huge pieces to assemble this nuclear fusion reactor. They made a digital twin before having the asset, right? So just trying to anticipate what they need to have. So they created the digital twin of the asset to understand, to make all the scheduling and planning of the assemblage of the tokamak reactor, of the nuclear reactor. And I met this guy at COP29, which is responsible for the whole project. And I was saying, look, I'm from Bentley Systems. I know you have used our software Synchro for the digital twin scheduling and planning of this. So, oh yeah, we know very well. We had a colleague here, and we used your digital twin with Oculus and HoloLens, and so we were basically teleported to the future and navigating through the facility. And we made some decisions, right? We just found out that one door that we were putting in the operations center was not good. The way it was opening, it didn't give us space to come out, and we just found that when we were immersively navigating through there. And so we changed the door from another supplier, because that was not going to work. So we needed to change. So basically, they changed their decisions before doing the process, right? So digital twins are not just for real-time operations, they are critical. I can talk about that later, I don't want to monopolize this. But I just want to say that even in early stages, before designing or redesigning or planning, it's critical, right? It's really important, and I think that's really key. The other aspect, you already mentioned lots of aspects. The other aspect I want to say is that having a data strategy since day one, when you start building or designing, it's not building, designing and planning something, it will give you so many opportunities in the future when you move to operations. You can leverage all that data in a way that you will keep the continuity and reuse data and have much more success in resilience.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Yes, I know also that Anglian Water, for example, they have something which is called the Blue Room, where they do rehearsals before, and they get everybody in the room, and they discovered something like that the crane was in the wrong place, and if they put the crane there, it was going to block, and then people would fall over it. Something as massive as that, and then they decide, all right, we'll put the crane over here. And actually, it seems crazy that we're doing these massive infrastructure projects without doing it. It seems the other way around. That how is it possible that we do it without a rehearsal? Yeah. So before I move on, has anyone got anything they want to comment on, anything that Rodrigo said before we move on? If anyone has any comments, you don't need to, by the way, if anyone wants to.
I think we should just do the round of everyone's introduction.
Okay. Yeah. So in that case, I'm going to move to you. Yeah, I'm going to move to you, Alana, just to build. So we've sort of heard about individual digital twins, and it would be great if you could talk to us about the work you've been doing, kind of on connected, cross-sector digital twins, with regards to data sharing and resilience. And please also don't forget to introduce yourself as well.
Thanks, Melissa. Hi, everyone. My name is Alana. I'm a senior consultant working in digital and data at Connected Places Catapult. It's one of the UK's organizations looking at innovation in key sectors of the economy. And at Connected Places Catapult, we're really interested in how places are interconnected and related, and how digital and data can act as an underpinning enabler to better connect places and create better outcomes for people and the planet. Over the past few years, our work's been focused on enabling the UK's digital twin ecosystem to solve some of the most complex infrastructure issues, especially climate resilience, which is why we're here today. The flagship digital twin project at the Catapult is called the Climate Resilience Decision Optimizer, or CREDO, which brings together data from energy, water, and telecom sectors into a connected digital twin platform. So By integrating critical infrastructure data and using probabilistic risk modeling, the Credo platform enables organizations to forecast impact of extreme weather events like heat waves and flooding on vital systems. This helps infrastructure operators make faster, evidence-based decisions to prevent cascading failures and service disruption. So in the case of Spain and Portugal, everyone's seen in the news, it's not only the energy sector that's experienced a blip, but actually there's been the cascading impact on telecoms. You're unable to use your mobile phone, or even today, I believe that transport in Spain is still not operating at 100%. So these are real world challenges that have significant cascading impacts over a period of time. Importantly, this work in creating this connected digital twin platform and understanding how systems relate to each other supports national strategies in the UK, like the National Digital Twin Program, the Modern Industrial Strategy, which is at Green Paper currently, and also initiatives like the AI Opportunities Action Plan, which call specifically for data interoperability, which is critical for connected digital twins, systems thinking, and generally digital transformation, which is really challenging, certainly in the built environment and construction sectors. The approach that we take to digital twins is to follow the Gemini principles. So the Gemini principles, for those who don't know, are kind of a pivotal group of principles that provide the ethical backbone to creating the digital twin ecosystem. They were published in 2018, and they still really remain prevalent this day into guiding the reasons and the outcomes that we're trying to leverage in the digital twin ecosystem. And importantly, this is all to drive public trust, foster resilience across the system, and create this ecosystem so that it can be federated and connected. So in particular for our project, Credo demonstrates the cross-sector data sharing element supported by secure federated architectures, which we can get into, and how those federated architectures create resilience, not just for the systems that we're modeling, but actually for the data systems and data centers, and making sure that our data and carbon footprint is resilient. It also demonstrates how climate scenarios can be modeled to guide investment in emergency planning decisions, and how we can basically all come together and think about our critical national infrastructure as a way to enable those societal, economic, and environmental benefits. So building on the original Credo concept, we're currently working on the Credo Plus Beta project with our lead energy partner, UK Power Networks, and we're actually working with NISO on that, which Carolina might touch on. And basically, we're taking this concept demonstrator of Credo into a fully functional digital twin platform that can be scalable throughout the energy sector, but also to other sectors. We're looking at making the platform accessible on the web for climate resilience planning, for adaptation reporting, so not just for the organizations, but also for the regulator, and collaborating on building that system-wide resilience in partnership with the water sector. So we're partnering with Anglian Water and with Thames Water, and we're working with telecommunications through BT Group. And ultimately, our work is all about laying the groundwork for a more resilient, sustainable, and joined up national infrastructure, and one that can adapt to the growing risks of climate change.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you. It's very exciting as well, and I really recommend the Gemini the Gemini principles there. It's what I think of as the conscience. The conscience. If we have a national digital twin, it's the conscience of it. And I think maybe others might use the term federated. So I will just explain what we mean by federated. What I was saying about how when we talk about, say, for example, a national digital twin, we're not envisaging this one big twin of all of the infrastructure of the UK, which of course would be a really big security risk as well. We mean a federation. We mean that there's everyone has their individual digital twins, but they're just able to connect, and that's where the data sharing infrastructure comes in. So when you need to, you can connect to another digital twin. It's not a permanent, and it's not one big digital twin. So thank you very much, Dana, for that. Now I'm going to move on to you, Carolina. So it was fantastic to hear that NESO has been appointed as the interim data sharing infrastructure coordinator. So congratulations on that. And I hope you're going to explain to us maybe a bit about what that means. But I think that this is the first example in the world, I'm going to say, I think it is, of a sector that is consciously working together to try and create its own data sharing infrastructure to support the virtual energy system. So how do you think that's going to help to make the energy sector more resilient? And please don't forget to introduce yourself as well.
Yes. So hello everyone, my name is Anna Carolina Tortora and I head innovation, AI and sector digitalization at NESO. NESO is the old ESO. We were part of the National Grid Group. We separated and were acquired by government in October of last year. Our responsibilities, we still keep our power systems operation and planning, and we've picked up planning for Great Britain for gas, hydrogen, CCUS, and other infrastructure. So it's become a bit of a more complex beast to run. Now, this is an important introduction to give because the challenge is real. We are pretty much running the trilemma for Great Britain. By trilemma, I mean that we need to operate a decarbonized energy system in as safe as possible and in as economic as possible way. Now, to get there, we need technology. And there's two macroscopic type of technologies. One, of course, is hard tech. It's the clean tech that you know. So it's what are the generation tools that we're using, what cables are we going to be using, can we use superconductors, can we do this in a more efficient way? But on the other big bucket, of course, is digital technologies, which are really, it's the next frontier. Digital technologies is absolutely fundamental because it's something that allows us to access marginal values in a quick way and in an economic way, or a relatively economic way compared to hard tech. So from an innovation hub perspective, about 4 years ago, we started looking into the idea of being able to create a system that was more robust by test checking against possible scenarios. One of these things, and one of the reasons why this idea came about, was the pandemic. When the pandemic hit in 2020, it was, oh my God, nobody expected what the effect could have possibly been on the energy system. The reality is that maybe we should have had some sort of digital twin tool or model that would show what would happen if people were home. So if factories were closed, what would the impact be on energy demand? How would our generation be able to keep up? Do we need more batteries? Do we need less generators? Do we need to move away from renewables and whatnot? So the idea started evolving from that. We picked up some of the work the National Digital Twin Program was looking at that came from the National Infrastructure Commission report of 2019 that set forth an ambition for the country of having a single digital twin for all sectors. And we decided to focus on the energy one. Because again, we were ESO, we're NESO today, but we're only as strong as getting all of the industries together. I think everybody's talking about the Spanish examples. We're in talk with our Red Eléctrica colleagues on this. And of course, you can imagine that the fault happened on the power system, but it was caused by something happening in weather. So having a digital twin that is not really connected to the other digital twin and the other models, it's really an handicap. It's only half as effective as it should be. So we started looking into the virtual energy system, which was this federated idea of digital twins. And we realized, as you just mentioned, Melissa, that all of this needs to sit. If you're thinking of a federated digital twin, almost as the energy system itself, where every tool has a digital representation, how do you connect them all? Well, in reality, you got cables and substations connecting them. In a digital world, you have a data sharing infrastructure, which is the same exact concept, but a digital one. And what we've been asked from Ofgem to do is, first of all, to start building this digital spine for the energy system. And as of April 1st, we're being asked to coordinate it which means prioritizing the use cases that we build it for, ensuring that adoption is happening at pace, growing the system organically, coming up with what are the standards that everyone should apply. So it's applying the Gemini ones, but taking them to the next level, what the security should be, what the trust network would be, the contracting should be, who should participate, what data should they have access to, and so on. So actually this morning I finally had board approval for the operational model that we're going to be following and the stakeholder group that is going to help us govern this entire thing. So it's really exciting times for us.
It is. Brilliant. Well, we're really pleased to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for going today. And yes, I remember during COVID that government came to us and said, could we have a digital twin of the transport system in London so we can model the effects of COVID on it? And we said, yes, in about 10 years, yes, we can probably get one for you. But I mean, and I like, with the data sharing infrastructure, I like to kind of think of it as like the roads network. I think people can visualize a physical thing, as you say, and if you think of it like roads, you need to get from here to here, and you have a road and you go in your car to get there. And the data sharing infrastructure is like the roads, and that's why we want to get people to think of it as infrastructure. So you see it as, data as an asset, manage it as an asset, and therefore we have infrastructure for our data the same way that we do, for our roads, for our cars. And bits of the road network are private, and there might be tolls on bits of the road network, etc. So there are all these different ways that they work. Some might be privately owned. So now coming to you, last but not least, Helen from Greater London Authority. You've been working on lots of projects and platforms for data sharing for many years now. I think you've been ahead of the game in this, and also kind of proving that it's not just about digital twins. So it doesn't have to involve a digital twin to do data sharing. So as well as introducing yourself, obviously, if you can just share with us some of the key considerations and the kind of the lessons learned from all the different experiences that you've had.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. So I'm Helen. I work at the Greater London Authority. It's the strategic authority for London, and I lead the data and innovation work in the infrastructure team. So the infrastructure sector in London is very diverse and fragmented. There are 5 water companies, 33 local authorities, 2 power companies, 2 gas companies, charge point operators, district heating providers. I mean, the list goes on. And with so many different actors, there is potential for it to be disjointed and to be not delivering infrastructure in the most coordinated way possible. And this has really real-world implications. All of us will know how frustrating it is to sit in traffic when there's disruption and street works, but that has economic cost, it has health and environmental cost with air quality. So as a result of all of this, the infrastructure sector actually approached the Greater London Authority and said, we think that you can play a central convening role to bring the sector together, and we see data sharing is absolutely central to that. So 10 years ago, we started sharing infrastructure data across the sector, data on things like asset investment, where there will be upgrades to existing assets, where they'll be building new assets, asset capacity. And we've now signed up over 50 different infrastructure providers to start sharing data in our safe ecosystem. Over the last few years, we've really targeted to how can we use this infrastructure data that we have collated to help meet the Mayor's target of meeting net zero by 2030. And a lot of the local authorities that we work with have also declared climate emergencies, and we really want to take data sharing as a kind of way to meet some of these opportunities and tackle some of the challenges. Touching on what Rodrigo said, I think our data sharing is not really the real-time operating data sharing. We're using data sharing for long-term planning, so thinking about how are we going to be meeting these net zero targets. So we've built a data hub which houses data on energy supply and demand across various sectors, housing, retrofit, transport, utilities, and so on, so that all local authorities and infrastructure providers are working from a consistent evidence base, and that we're sharing the same data. I'd say some of the key considerations that we have thought of are that there are 2 main things that you need to have in place. The first is you need to have the governance. So you need to have the legal frameworks in place, that people know that the data that they're sharing with you, who it's being used by, and what it's being used for. And complementing that, you need the technical side. So you need to put in place common standards, you need to put in place secure systems that people know that the data sharing with you is in a secure system. And I think overriding all of this is the need for people. Sometimes when you think of digital twins, you think it's a purely technical thing, but actually none of this is going to happen without people creating the data, maintaining it, sharing it, analyzing it, and using it. So I think our kind of key learnings are that the data doesn't need to be perfect, and a lot of our data providers have said, they're worried about data quality, it's incomplete. We've really encouraged them to share incomplete, imperfect data, and that's a really good starting point. It's still generated so much value, and we found that actually can lead to a snowball effect in terms of sharing more data, but also then catalyzing people to invest in improving their own data quality. We've also found that you have to highlight the benefits of data sharing, and we've always taken a carrot rather than a stick approach. We think that's much more powerful. And I'd say the final key learning from us is to always have a clear use case. When we're asking for data, we don't ask for any old data to meet a vague challenge. We always try and be really specific, and we think that's been so critical to get the buy-in of people to share data with us.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you, and thank you for pulling out the thing about people. That really is the heart of this. It's not technology at the bottom of this; it's people. And actually, we like to think so. I used to lead the infrastructure client group, which had a data sharing, a data transformation group made up of sort of chief data officers from across the economic clients, and we actually believe that Credo came about because of the relationships that were built there, and we sort of see it as that relationships come first, and then there's a will, and when there's a will, you find a way to do the sharing, and so we really believe it's kind of people driven and relationship driven.